So we're heading off up to the top of Lambida Hill in deepest Radnorshire, and we're looking for the source of the River Bachawy. I'm walking along this lane. I've just left Paynes Castle. I've just left Keith, in fact, who gave me a lift out here. It's a nice fresh day, fresh to mild. Spring growth is out. It's all fresh. Fresh growth, fresh air, and a fresh new day. You guys in the view, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks.
All right.
Yeah, having a good day?
Yeah, reasonable. Very well, very good. Yeah. What's your name?
Maggie Warren.
Maggie Warren.
Yeah.
Hiya Maggie, my name's Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Good to meet you.
Yeah.
Hey little snoucher, how you doing?
Phoebe.
Phoebe, how you doing Phoebe?
Naughty.
Well, we've met Maggie, and Maggie's collecting, what is it?
Well, I'm sort of rescuing frog spawn.
Alright.
It all dries up here.
Yeah.
So my sister's got a pond and she hasn't got any this year, so she wants some, and my grandchildren want some as well.
Oh, I see. Right, so well, that'll keep them interested for the spring, won't it?
Yes, they can see them develop into the frogs.
We always used to like the frog spawn. I love the sound of frogs.
Oh yeah.
You know, when they're fully in. I mean, the whole community's out. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
and,
they're wonderful. But there is seems to be a shortage of frog spawn this year.
You reckon? Right, it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder why that is then.
I don't know. There's none.
We haven't had a winter really, have we?
No, and it's I don't know why, to be honest.
Yeah. I know. I'm hunting for the Bachawy River, the source, which is through that saddle there.
Bachawy.
How do they pronounce it?
Bachawy. It runs down.
Oh, is it Bachawy?
Yeah.
Is it?
Bachawy.
I've been calling it Bachawy.
No.
No, so it's a silent CH.
Yes.
Yeah, Bachawy.
CH, yeah.
Hey, thanks for that. Nice one.
Along there.
Right, so that's what I need to be heading for, really.
That's right, and then that flows down and presumably
Into the river
Bachawy.
proper, basically.
It comes right by my house.
Oh, I see. Right, got you.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So
Well,
it goes all the way down what we call the dingle.
Right.
It
And
runs all the way down there, and then it flows all the way down the dingle,
Yeah, it swings south then.
and then goes to Paynes Castle.
Yeah. Swings south through Roscock and
Yeah.
then through Paynes Castle.
Yes.
Yeah, and then on the way to the Wye.
Yes.
Yeah. So but that's what I'm walking. I'm walking all the rivers of the Wye, and I'll share the website with you and see what you think. All right, Maggie. Thanks for your time.
You're very welcome.
That's really good.
Nice to meet you.
All right, nice one, Phoebe.
She's naughty.
You've relaxed now.
She's naughty.
All right. So we're on Lambida Hill, guys, and we found the source of the Bachawy. Maggie tells me, not the Bachawy, but the Bachawy. And we're right next to the springs, so we'll take a look shortly, and then we'll head down the gully and follow the river proper through to Paynes Castle. All right, guys, take care. I'll catch you up. Peace. We're walking through the springs of the Bachawy. That's what Maggie tells us, the Bachawy and not the Bachawy. And all around here in this dip is the source of the Bachawy. It's nice and quiet, guys, isn't it? Yeah, not beautiful. That was wonderful meeting Maggie back there. So she tells me they call this the Bachawy pools. In my research, this area was called the Bachawy Springs. I presume after these springs here. After these springs. There's lots of them about in this dip. This is a beautiful area. Here's the pools. Check this out, guys. This is the source of the Bachawy. It's absolutely wonderful. Here you go. The Bachawy pools, springs. And what will happen is it'll flow down there. It flows down into a gully and drops down into the river proper as other streams join it. It flows down there, guys. That's about 14 miles, the river, and we're going to be following it down there. Over there is the place where the island farm used to be. So we're going to visit that place there. See where those trees are? There's an enclosure there, which is where the old island farm used to be. And I've got a story to tell you about a lady called Rosa Blanche. I won't tell you about Rosa yet, because we're not at Island Farm. There used to be a farm there, but it's not there anymore. Well, that was beautiful. The Bachawy Springs, the start of the River Bachawy. Alright, let's go, guys. I'll take a couple of photographs and I'll tell you this story. So here we are. These are the remains of the old island farm. As in Ireland. I-R-E, land, Ireland. Why am I here? Well, I want to tell you the story of a lady called Rosa Blanche, who I mentioned earlier. Now, Rosa Blanche was a farmer who owned a farm on Rulin Hill, about 2.5 miles north from here. And every week, Rosa would get on her horse and ride into Hay-on-Wye to pick up her supplies. And she did so in December of 1925 once. And she was returning back from hay. And she got to the top of the hill here on Lambida Hill in a full-on snowstorm. It was really full-on, really violent storm. And she got to the top, hey sheep, and her horse collapsed and she broke her ankle. Now, a little girl who lived here in Island Farm at the time said she heard screams and cries out in the night, and her uncle and auntie said that it was probably the wind. Well, the next day they found Rosa dead, not far from here, not far from the source of the Bachawy. She's buried now at Paynes Castle Chapel, and Keith and I visited earlier. You can see the grave here. Rosa Blanchet, 1925. Somewhere around here she's commemorated, I don't know where. We'd probably be looking all day. But Rosa still has family living in and around these hills. So that's one story that is probably well known around here, and one story that the Bachawy has a relationship with. Quite tragic. She had 6 children and she left all of them behind. Right, we're at Island Farm, just beside the springs of the Bachawy. So we're going to follow the Bachawy down to the road, and we're going to meet the river proper there, where other streams meet it from off the high hills here. Okay, let's go. Now that's a steeper drop than I thought. I'm going to have to drop down and climb back up and head across there. Yeah, you got to watch this stuff. Whoop. Bracken, that is, and not grab hold of it, because it'll just cut right through your hands. It's really sharp, so nice and steady does it. Alright, see you on the other side. Let's get cracking. There's a nice photograph here. I'll show you what I mean by using 1 or 2 features in the landscape. You get a cracking photograph. See this hill in this tree, if you get low enough, the tree will create something interesting in the foreground. See how it goes. Yeah, that turned out alright, good photograph. Fresh, brand new. It's one of the themes of the walk. Fresh, fresh as a daisy. So that's what the Bachawy has become so far, guys. I have the company of the Bachawy, beautiful. Just the sound of water. Spring life going on, lambs on the hills, birds are busy. It's been wet up here, so there's a fair bit of water flowing off the hills. The river is sounding really beautiful as a result. It's a bit different to Aylstone Hill or Belmont Road or White Cross Road in Hereford, or the A49 which which goes through Hereford. I mean, you get used to it because you live in the town, you live in the city, but the contrast is really stark, and it's a beautiful contrast, isn't it? It's a contrast we enjoy, man. It's a contrast which is needed. Otherwise you go a bit loopy. So I'm going to slow down and I'm going to enjoy this walk into Roscock and Paynes Castle. Alright. On the road again. Dee 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 dee. On the road again. Was that Willie Nelson? I sung that on the Trothy hike. My last hike with Paul. I'll put the link up. Put it above now. It's a beautiful hike. It's a bit of a long video, so you'd have to have a couple of coffees and settle down. But that was beautiful too. The river's now, about 14 years of age. Growing nicely. Quite healthy. Roscock. Flying visit, guys, through to Paynes Castle. The Roscock's in. We're back in Paynes Castle, guys. We've taken a big loop around, about 6 miles. And we're outside the front of this ancient inn. This was the site of many a night had by drovers that were droving their cattle and their other animals, geese, sheep, whatever it might have been, into market, into Hereford, Birmingham, London. The Welsh drovers were legend, and this place was one of the places where they stopped off. The Rostocks, formerly the Blackhawks Inn. A drover's inn. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to make our way to Paynes Castle now, guys, and I'll tell you a bit about Paynes Castle. Look like rare breeds to me. Okay. We're near the castle. So this is what remains of Paynes Castle. There's not a lot left. What you got is the motte, which is the raised earthwork there. On top of there would have been a keep. And I presume we're kind of walking into the bailey, which would have been an enclosed yard, and that would have been surrounded by a wooden palisade. You can kind of see that's probably the keep. Not too sure. If you look at this picture here, it's supposed to be a very good likeness of what the castle looked like when it was built in the early 11th century. Very long time ago now. But it's a good illustration, as you can see. I suspect the wooden palisade was around there. The village took its name after the castle, Paynes Castle. Now, It wasn't named after it wasn't named after pain. It was named after a Norman nobleman called Payne FitzJohn, who built the castle. And he was a supporter of King Henry I of England, who happened to be the 4th son of William the Conqueror. So the French built this castle, and it was situated on a natural high spot. Of course, it was built primarily to conquer the Welsh, the Silures tribe, and the Ordovicians up north. But it wasn't to last, obviously. In the 15th century, it was owned by the Vaughan family, which were the sheriffs of Hereford. But in between the 11th century and the 15th century, it had somewhat of a time. And I'll tell you about that time down there. I'll tell you about the Battle of Payne's Castle, which was one of the worst battles, no, the worst battle in Welsh history. More Welsh lives were lost in that battle, the Battle of Payne's Castle, here, than any other battle in Wales. 3,700 Welshmen and princes and leaders, Welsh leaders, were killed in that battle. And that's not counting the English losses. But yeah, the battle took place in the valley, down here, right in this valley, in the Bachawy Valley, because the river runs through here. I'll show you. So I'll see you down there, alright? So let's head down there now. This valley would have been one of the valleys that the castle controlled, because the Bachawy Valley was a gateway into central South Wales. A key strategic point for the Normans in conquering Wales. Okay, let's go. The battle took place in around about, I think it was August 1198, and it was as a result of a Welsh ruler called Gwenwyn, who assembled an army and besieged the castle for 3 weeks. There was no resolution to the siege, and so the Earl of Essex, and his name was Geoffrey Fitzpeter, assembled an army in order to sort the problem out. He was English, or well not English, he was French probably, but he marched on Payne's Castle to take on Gwenwyn. And around about here, in this valley, was where the battle took place. "3,700 Welsh rulers, princes and men died in that battle. It's the single biggest Welsh loss in a battle ever to have taken place. And that's not counting the English losses. There were probably over 5,000 losses in that battle. And I'm walking through the battlefield now. My question is, who cleared up the mess? It would have been a mess, right? Chopped up limbs, thousands of dead humans, rotting corpses, if they were allowed to rot, that is. Now, you couldn't have allowed that to happen, could you? I'd imagine that the Norman nobles, Geoffrey Fitzpeter, got the Welshmen to clean it up, without a shadow of doubt. So that was what happened in 1198. Of course, the years went by and successive people took over the castle, and the Welsh were eventually subjugated, although there are still some Welshmen today that would fight tooth and nail for independence, a bit like the Scots, which is understandable. So yeah, successive rulers, and the castle declined in around about 15th century. Feeding the Bachawy. So I'd imagine by the time we get to the confluence, it should look pretty handsome. We're at Lambeda. We're just going to head for Lambeda Church. Here we are, the Chapel of Lambeda. Let's see if it's open. I'd imagine that it is. It's a rural chapel. I'd be surprised if it's locked. I wonder. Let's have a look. See if it's open. No, it's very locked. The front porch will have to do.